Yes, it is Monday, September 3rd, 2018, and we have survived yet another PAX Expo. PAX West. Always be PAX Prime in my heart. But we saw some games over these last 4 days, and there were a couple that I really enjoyed. If I had to rank them top three, that's a hard one. Probably, I would say Knights and Bikes is pretty high up there on my list.
Solid.
Because that game was a lot of fun to play. It had a really great art style. And I love Double Fine, so I think the humor is going to be there too. Had a unique mechanic of actually riding around on the bikes for your transport. It seemed like the level they were demoing integrated the Knights part of it and the bikes part of it pretty well. The combat seemed pretty good once we figured it out. I know you were having a little problem, Chris, with your character not figuring out what your secondary attack was.
Yeah, I didn't notice before. I had a plunger with a string attached, so I was able to suck something away, but that never actually came into play when we were...
But it looked like... So what I was looking at is it looked like you placed a mine at one point.
Yeah.
And then maybe you would use the sucker part to pull them to the mine.
I guess.
But yeah, mine was fairly straightforward. I threw a frisbee and I threw water balloons. So those are my two attacks. And they actually used the secondary attack to solve puzzles. So
Yep, putting out fires. Yeah. That was very useful.
But yeah, it's like, the basic premise is the kids are imagining that they are in a medieval land, and they've superimposed their imagination onto the real world. So like the level has you going to a scrapyard, but they in their minds you see like outlines of a castle and parapets drawn onto the actual like world, and they go into a magnetic crane and they imagine it being a wizard tower, since it's using a magnet to pull up things, and that's magical to them, I guess. And then they were fighting gloves that had become sentient or were anthropomorphic.
Yeah, and then when you defeated one, it turned into a pile of cans. So It kind of tells you what their imaginations created.
Yeah,
these enemies out of.
So. It was really adorable seeing little kids play that game too, which was cool. That and Ooblets, which we didn't get a chance to
Representation matters, y'all.
Yeah. Aside from that, I really did enjoy the game I played of the Blackout Club, which Dan got to do an extended interview with the creator. So he'll have more to say on that probably than I will. But I enjoyed it. It was fun. Cool co-op game. Nice creepy vibe. Played really well, even in this really early state. Some janky animations and stuff, but that's to be expected for something that's still in an alpha state, it seems like.
Yeah, I was actually really intrigued by the premise, even if it's not my kind of game, really. Mm-hmm. But the idea of a crew of kids, and it's a co-op multiplayer shooter. A crew
not even
of kids,
a shooter, though, because it's not really about shooting.
Yeah, you're right. It's first person, but not everybody shoots.
Investigation, kind of.
Right. And it's kids, and they're trying to solve some sort of mystery in their town. Something's weird with their parents and families. Mm-hmm. So it's not a game where you shoot because you're not trying to kill. So every one of the kids has different capabilities to try to either distract or there's knockout
incapacitate
darts,
the quote-unquote enemies who are basically just brainwashed versions of the normal parents and adults in the town.
So yeah, it's a really intriguing concept, and I think that that... If I'm honest, it's oddly niche, and I don't know what kind of audience it finds, but I think it deserves one. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they find some success with that.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was solid to play from what I was seeing other people.
Yeah, I was playing mouse and keyboard, and it felt good. So aside from, like I said, a couple of janky animations and fit and polish stuff, you would think you should be able to go out windows and things like that to avoid them, but he was telling me that's not quite in there yet. So, other than that, gosh, what else did I play that I really enjoyed? I'd have to probably go with, if I'm being honest with myself, God, it's a hard choice. There's a lot of good stuff I played. I'd have to put a tie between What the Golf and What Tam, because those were both very, whimsical, fun games that were right in my, happy place sort of thing, because not every game has to be, super goal-oriented and objective-based. What the Golf is just weird because you think it's not really a golf game, but they take an inspiration. There's the demo I played was cool because they had the standard, like, here's a golf course, get a hole, hit the ball into the hole. Then it evolves into, like, you're a soccer ball actually moving through a field trying to avoid kids kicking you. And then at one point you become a red ball in a Super Hot inspired level where you're picking up guns and shooting guys, and it literally plays like Super Hot where you're a golf ball. So when you move, it moves. And when you stop, like, everything goes super slow.
I had not seen that.
Yeah, when you get to the end of the first level, it does the Super Hot, but instead of saying Super Hot, it says Super Putt. Super Putt. So yeah, that was good. I mean, the devs were watching people play while I was waiting in line, and yeah, like, I was even commenting on, like, yeah, that's a Super Hot inspired level. She's like, yeah, it's interesting to hear people who comment and they notice that part of it. So it's like, yeah, it's a little niche indie game that's not super widely known, but the people who know it know it.
I love that game.
Yeah, it's great.
That's awesome.
Yep. So yeah, that would be, and then Watam has progressed to, more of, it seems like it's got a few more goals in it, but it definitely doesn't seem like it's a game that you'll ever have to quote unquote finish. But I just love the happiness and the joy that's in that game. Little kid, it sounds like kids laughing every time you do something, like you make the mayor explode. You hold hands with a flower and an acorn and a giant mouth.
Nothing we say is going to make that game make sense
And
to
a
people.
toilet.
So we'll try putting some video against it.
Yeah, you'll have to see the game to actually, like, figure out what's going on. Even then.
Even if you see it, I don't think you're going to get it.
Yeah, it's not to get. It's just to experience, really.
It's for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got, Chris? What did you play
3.
that you liked?
So, top of my list, Pray for the Gods.
Yeah, I let you put that on your list. It was good. I really enjoyed what I played, so.
Let me. Yeah, no, I know. You played the demo right on the same time I did. Shadow the Colossus inspired heavily, and it shows, and they're not shy about that.
Not in that demo, for sure.
Right, and I think the conversation I had with the devs was, the coolest part was realizing or being told that once you beat that first boss, it's kind of a training level. It opens up kind of Breath of the Wild style, where there's an island in anything you can see, you can kind of explore and climb. And there's a lot of traversal mechanics that they're building into the game. And you're just going to see those different colossi, if for lack of a better descriptor.
That's honestly, like, that's ambitious of them to say. I mean, Shadow of the Colossus was very structured, like, it had you go in order.
Yep.
This just seems like, from what they're saying, that sounds like, okay, what if we just had you be able to go to any Colossus at any time?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is cool. And I think you mentioned that they said that the Colossi would be walking around the map. You could see them moving.
Exactly.
Off in the distance. That will be cool to see. So similar to, like, because when going back to Breath of the Wild, when you saw them, like the Titans, like the champion Guardians, I forget whatever they were called. Like, you could see them on the map, like, after you beat their challenge, and their beam was shooting at Hyrule Castle. Like, being able to see that on the other side of the map, which that map's not insignificant. But being able to zoom and see, like, that off in the distance, you're like, I can go there at any time.
Yeah.
So.
And they obviously being an indie game, they said it's probably 10% the size of Breath of the Wild. Still ambitious, because Breath of the Wild is an 80 to 100 hour game. This is going to be, let's say, 6 to 10 hours, and that's plenty for any game, really. Provided it's a solid game to play.
And Shadow of the Colossus wasn't that long either.
Right.
So,
yeah. And so I'm looking forward to that one. It's supposed to be out at the end of this year, so really hyped on that. And love the demo that I had there. Hong Kong Massacre, which is actually one that I didn't even think of, and we stumbled across going through the PlayStation booth today before we were leaving, and I jumped into it after Dan had played a little bit, and I loved it. It's kind of one of those games that high action, not twitch reflexes, but it has your mind thinking the whole time. I described it as if John Woo directed movies only with a quadcopter. So it's overhead view. You're a character with guns. It's initially you start with dual handguns, which is a John Woo thing.
Sure.
And you bust through doors, and you slow down time, and you're just flipping everywhere and shooting the gun in whatever direction. And I'm pretty hyped on that game. the concept reminds me of My Friend Pedro. Not quite as stylistic and like insane.
Yeah.
And also in a top-down view instead of that 2D side-scroller look. But I think both of them are going to have that kind of action, which is something that I really enjoy. So I'm looking forward to that one a lot.
Also, there's an upgrade tree to the guns, which you didn't realize until I actually picked up and
That's
started
right.
messing
That's
around
right.
with it and playing it. So
Yeah, you unlock each level by accomplishing different tasks, and they give you a star, and you collect the stars, and in that way you can upgrade your skills, the gun skills, stuff like that.
Yep.
So that is actually really exciting to look forward to. I don't even know what the release date is because it was.
If that one's
kinda
not
off the
too
map.
expensive, I'm sure that'll be coming to PC as well. I'd probably play that with a mouse and keyboard if I were to be honest, especially with the twin sticks work okay in games, certain games, but like that kind of game, I would definitely like to have the precision of being able to put my cursor, because some of those shots, you can definitely see yourself lining them up a lot better if you had the mouse to be able to just be like, all right, I know what the angle is right here, and I can hit that guy if I aim in this specific direction. Sticks never quite give you that much unless they give you sensitivity adjustments. Some people are good at that. I'm not. So
Very true. Looking forward to that one though. My third one was going to be Knights and Bikes. Sorry,
I stole it from you.
No, there was obviously going to be overlap.
Yeah.
That was a really good game. Another one that we didn't really intend to come out seeing ahead of time because we were actually in line to see Ooblets.
Yeah.
Which I never got to play because the line was always so busy.
Neither of us.
So I'm really hyped on that one, but I can't speak to the actual gameplay because I didn't get into it.
Yeah, somebody I was talking to said he did get to play it, and he said that like it feels a little limiting in the beginning with the Pokemon stuff, but I'm looking forward to at least trying it out at some point.
Right,
So,
and for those you're not in the know, Ooblets is kind of a mix between Stardew Valley meets Pokemon, and instead of Pokemon fights, you have dance battles
with card decks.
Yeah, with card decks. Like
it's a cool concept, and it looks
super
adorable.
charming.
Yeah,
all the colors, pastel everything, kind of that cutout shape, cell shaded ish kind of look. So I'm really hyped on that. That's my kind of thing.
like a paper craft almost.
Yeah, I mean it's Wander Song looking. Yeah, exactly. And I love those kinds of games. All the charm in the world. So that one we didn't get to play.
We watched enough people play it, though.
Right.
You get an impression of what it is.
Yeah, you know what's going on.
Like I said, there was a little, like a 4-year-old girl who was playing that game while we were watching before we ended up jumping on Knights and Bikes. And, like, you could see the developers, like the guys who were in that booth, just, like, enamored with the fact that she was picking it up and playing it. So,
I think there's a big part of that, too, that gets me excited. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I think getting them into games is going to be a thing just because that's what I do. And maybe they aren't interested, and that's fine. But if they want to, I would be super happy playing with them or showing them Knights and Bikes, Ooblets. And so there's a lot of games in that way that I certainly want to share with them.
all right, we got to do a dishonorable mention for what I played today.
What is that?
Played, quote unquote. So we got to talk about it because, like, we're one of the few people who actually got to sit down and play. Like, I actually got to sit down and play, or stand and play, The Quiet Man from Square Enix.
Yeah.
Woof, man.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Well, when you're when you're at a con like this and you're seeing people play games with headphones on and like demoing them, you're like wondering what's going on in their head, like what they're seeing, especially if they don't have subtitles enabled. In this game, just imagine that nothing is going on because nothing was going on.
Yeah, to set the stage, me and John went to jump in line, and there wasn't really a line, it's just there was somebody playing in front of us. We watched them watch a live action cutscene. And when I say live action, there's actors.
FMV.
Yeah. They were just actors, and it was, 7-8 minutes of just people talking.
Uh-huh.
And then what you realize when John put the headphones on, he's like, nobody's saying anything.
Nobody was... They were saying stuff. I just wasn't hearing
There was
anything.
no words being conveyed through your ears.
Yeah.
It was just two people talking at each other.
Yeah.
And you could tell, for the most part, what was going on.
Not really, though.
Yeah.
There's no context. It was one dude talking to another dude, and like...
Oh, there's drugs.
Yeah, there's drugs. There's money.
There's money in a suitcase.
Uh-huh. The one guy looks like he might be a gang leader of some sort, and the quiet man works for him, like, if I were to infer things.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
The game started the same way that they showed at the E3. introduction where
And that part has spoken dialogue, and there are subtitles on it, so you know what they're saying, even though they're actually talking. But in the part where you're like, I could use subtitles here, he obviously can read lips. Why don't I have subtitles there?
yeah, the game looks mad problematic off the bat. I mean, all the gangsters happen to be colored folk.
Yeah.
Black guy and a Latino guy and
But
another Latino guy.
but the white quiet man
Yeah.
is their knight in shining
Oh
armor,
my
as it were,
God. I don't
doing all the
know.
dirty work. And let's not even talk the character models. Good God, this game was just like, you're like, wow, that really transitioned from live action to a really bad looking version of the character.
Man, and the fighting mechanics look straight out of 2008.
It's solid, like it works. Like I was punching guys pretty easily and doing like, special moves, quote unquote, but like it didn't feel like it had any stakes or any weight, because literally I just mashed the button like 4 times and a dude would fall down, or I would hit a L2 and the triangle button and my guy would do this weird cobra strike to a dude's head and they would fall over. There's apparently a grapple button that I kept trying to do, but it didn't seem like it was doing much.
Nah, that game does not. It is not off on the right foot, and that's putting it way lightly.
Yeah, there's maybe 3 minutes of gameplay and 12 minutes of cutscenes in that, and 11 of those 12 minutes are silent. So, the Quiet Man is something, and they had 4 stations for that game.
Yeah. I don't know what Square Enix is doing with that. It's a good thing they have a lot of other hits going on right now. So,
Don't quit your day job, guys.
whew. Other than that, I don't.
Any honorable mentions for you?
Um,
I got it. I got a couple. Pizza
Okay.
Titan Ultra.
Pizza Titan Ultra. That was fun.
I was very surprised at how cool, fun that looked. Really good aesthetic, but the gameplay is what you guys have a qualm about. It's hard to play arcadey style games
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
It handles well. I'm just curious to see how it lasts beyond an hour.
Yep.
2 hours. If there's a way that they expand the mechanics to keep you interested. I have Fogs,
Yeah.
which is a 2-headed dog meets like Mario Galaxy kind of, and I like that's that cutesy aesthetic, pastel colors, all that stuff that I love, that charming shit. So that's all me. Me and Dan played. One person controls each dog head.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was
People
kind of
doing that.
it's hilarious. It's fun. Again, I think something I could play with my kids and have a lot of fun. But that was in the indie mega booth.
Light Fingers was a good one for me. That was almost a Mario style board game that involves, like, from what I heard, the premise is you're thieves coming back from an adventure, and you sit down and to play a board game. And the board game involves thieves going around stealing stuff from dungeons.
Yep.
And getting loot and trying to get back to the thieves' camp.
Yeah, it definitely has that Mario Party vibe where you're you take turns, you roll dice, and then every once in a while somebody activates a
mini game,
team battle,
and then
mini-game.
everybody else tries to screw over that person.
Exactly.
So
it was rough that like the stage for that mini team battle was a little bit, because I didn't get to play as the person you did, but doing the traps and stuff wasn't quite what I call intuitive.
It's a little less than, like, you have to figure out, because I mean there's only so many traps that you can operate. So if there's only, like, if they're at a part and they're stuck on it, usually only 1 or 2 people are actually getting to activate the traps, and they don't seem that hard to avoid. I mean, the time I played as the person, I failed because I couldn't make my jumps.
Right.
And when I was playing as the trap person, the other person failed because they couldn't make their jumps.
Right, but you could imagine if you played for a day, you'd be good enough at that the jumps to avoid almost anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious to see if that thing has legs for the long term, but I like the idea of kind of a local multiplayer game with that medieval aesthetic. So that was cool.
One other thing I got to play that nobody taught, that, I mean, IGN revealed, or that they accidentally revealed, was the new Vlambeer game. Guys who did Luftrausers, Nuclear Throne, they accidentally revealed their new game on Saturday. And so I went over to their booth, and they had switched all their screens over to the new game because they were just like, oh, I guess we revealed it at this point. So
Was it good?
it's early, like super early. The concept is you can move with the WASD, and then there was just one button to shoot, and your ship would automatically target something. But when you'd shoot, you would shoot like either rocks or enemies, and when the enemies would die, they would spread this green goo, and the green goo would only respawn enemies if you got a certain distance away. But the screen would generally like fill up really quick with just a lot of guys, and yeah, it became, and then they would start shooting at you, of course. So it's, bullet helly, like trying to avoid them while you're trying to clear the map. There were bomb heads that would explode and clear out big areas, but yeah, it was just a constant like mad dash type of thing. It definitely seems like a bullet hell puzzly type game, but super early. So.
Do you have anything else on your
I
list?
glitched the game too at one point. My gun started firing because it was normally like it would start out as one beam, and it was weird because you'd hit the button, it would shoot one. You'd let go and hit it again, it would start shooting 2 and 3 and 4 each time you let go and started shooting.
Huh.
But my gun at one point turned into this like beam that was just sweeping across, and the guy actually told me afterwards, like, yeah, it does less damage though. So I was like, oh, okay, huh?
Yeah.
Because he told me, yeah, oh, that's the glitch weapon, you got to restart, and I was like, okay. But yeah, that's a weird one. Let's see what else I got here real quick. Star Renegades. I want to get more into that game. Turn-based, squad-based combat. Move around on a map, all like Fire Emblem, finding encounters, but still early because I got wrecked in that game in like 2 encounters.
Yeah, it was Fire Emblem on the map side, and then inside the game, it's actually JRPG where turn-based action and.
Well, and the unique thing was that it had the timer on the bottom, and you would pick your actions, and you would see how much time they would take, and that would put you on this action line. You would see like where you're at, and by doing that, you could interrupt other people's actions, so the enemies. But like I just got wrecked because I didn't have enough of a idea of who to interrupt or anything like that. So, other than that, let's see.
It's my aesthetic, by the way. All the mechs and all that sprites and
the
stuff.
music was cool, and the maps and stuff all looked really good. I hope that comes together. Let's see. Ashen was another interesting one. At the Annapurna booth, which also had Watam. Dark Souls style combat, interesting aesthetic. Reminded me a bit of Necropolis, but more of a progression, like not just going dungeon down deeper and deeper. It seemed like there's something else there, like a quest line. People actually give you stuff to do and say, go here and do this. I liberated a town, and apparently, your goal in that is to defend the Ashen, because the Ashen brings light back to the world.
Okay.
Because the world's in darkness, and this thing explodes, and then there's light in the world again. So,
Annapurna has that kind of artsy, that's really their thing, and so I'd assume that that's a pretty game, or it has something to say. But
it's a good aesthetic. It looks really good and ran pretty well. I got to the point and the guy's like, oh, this is the point where we're telling everyone to stop playing. And I was like, but I just got the thing and I was ready to open it. So I guess just similar to The Quiet Man, you could have kept playing, but they stopped people at a certain point. And then one thing I have to shout out, Dan didn't like it so much. I thought it was kind of cool, was Stone Story RPG, which was an ASCII game that you don't really interact with, but it reminded me a lot of Candy Box. I don't know if you've ever played that.
No, not Candy Box.
So it is a game that is web-based, so you can actually go play it, Candy Box and Candy Box 2. It's like one of those games where it slowly reveals its layers as you play it. So this is a game where it kind of gets more and more expansive as you go through, because you start on one area, you start collecting rocks, and then you realize you can build something with those rocks after you finish going through that area, and then it opens up a new area, and so forth and so forth. So it's cool. I thought it was nifty. You should go try Candy Box one time. Just leave it running in the background for like an hour and a half, and then click on it. You click the tab and see what happens. Because it's a game that just basically you see a number going up. It's like, you have this many candies. And you let it run for a while, and then things start to happen. So, yeah.
Anything else?
Let's see. Looking at my list. I mean, I played a bunch of stuff. I'll probably just record quick little things on those later on. But those are my highlights, I think.
Yeah, same. We generally miss all the AAA stuff just because, one, we don't have the press credentials to get into. We don't want to sit in a 3-hour line.
Or it's coming out soon enough.
Yeah. Spider-Man was the big one.
It comes out on Friday.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 4 was out there.
Yep.
Ubisoft
they had
had
Division 2 there.
Division 2. What's the spaceship game that they're making?
Oh gosh, what's it called? Is it Starfield?
Yeah.
I think
But they had the models, and they showed how the models attached to your controller. That was kind of interesting, but oh man, I don't know how you sell a game like that right now.
What, a physical game?
Not even physical.
No, Starfield's the Bethesda game. God, what's the name of the... Dan, what's the name of the spaceship game that Ubisoft's making?
Twilight Starfield Commanders.
Starlink, that's what it's called. Battle for Atlas. Dan, why don't you tell us your highlights of PAX after you get a drink of water? You can get those down now, may as well, right? So yeah, let's see. I do want to call out Neocab. That was a cool looking art style, but a point and click adventure, so not for everybody. And then, oh, the name of the new Vlambeer game is called Space Hell, by the way, currently. Working title.
I think you had that on your list, and I saw it, and I was like, I didn't play this.
Yeah. I literally played it 15 minutes before the expo hall closed, so nobody was there, except for there were a couple people playing, but the sixth floor was pretty much empty at that point.
Dan, what were your top 3 games?
Oh, thank you for inviting me on the show. I've always wanted to be a guest. Really glad I'm here.
First time, long
I
time.
just came in from Philadelphia. And boy, my arm's tired.
My cheesesteak is congealed.
PAX. Hey, you guys went to PAX?
We went to PAX.
How did you like this PAX thing? I heard this video game stuff is like all the rage now with the kids. It's a trend.
Top 3, Dan. What do you got? Hit me.
Oh boy, so many choices. I liked Gone Viral. It was the first game I played, so it's the best game that.
First game, best game.
First game, best game. I like that one a lot because I like roguelike stuff.
Phones are making it.
What phones? Man, unprofessional. Look, I thought I was invited.
Is your mic set up? Still set up? We could throw on just 3 labs, and if not, no.
No, I don't know where I'd have to pull that stuff out.
You could just use my Blue Yeti thing on a laptop
Do that too.
because it does the wide round record.
Omnidirectional. You want to do that, Chris?
Oh,
Keep going.
we're almost done.
Yeah, we're almost
Okay,
done. Go for it,
yeah,
Dan.
so
Power through.
I liked Gone Viral because Gone Viral reminds me of Smash Brothers. So any game that reminds me of Smash Brothers is a good game. Oh, Smash Brothers, Smash TV. Sorry, it's been a long been a long weekend. Yeah, any game that reminds me of Smash Brothers is a bad game. Any game that reminds me of Smash TV is a good game.
Professionals.
Because I like violence, I like entertainment, and I like cash money prizes. So this Gone Viral also is a little bit like Enter the Gungeon because there's like a lot of like random combos of weapons and stuff. It makes it all weird. I got this rocket launcher, and then I got this orbit ability that made the rocket go around me. But like the explosions also hurt you, so it was really bad, but fun. But instead of like competing for cash prizes, big money, big prizes, you're competing for like viewers. Hence the name Gone Viral.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I know, clever. But yeah, so the more stuff you do and the more like random power-ups you get, especially if they make stuff hard, it seems like they give you more viewers. So I really like that one. I liked Disco Elysium. I have some of my problems with it. I feel like it's really pretentious, but if you're gonna make a game mostly about like dialogue and like cop noir kind of like thing, it's gonna be pretentious. That's just what it is. I mean, Blade Runner's pretentious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got a cool start. I don't know what the exact point of it is. Like it's mostly like dialogue, and there's like a RPG skill tree, and you resolve everything through like dialogue or thinking or whatever, right? So you wake up with kind of like amnesia. You had like some kind of bender, It's heavily implied that you use a lot of like alcohol and other extracurricular substances, and you wake up with almost no clothes on. So that's a good start to a detective noir thing. And eventually it gets kind of like brought to your attention that there's been a dead body hanging outside in the outside of the apartment building for the last week, and you got to go investigate it. So to me, that seems like good detective noir because you're kind of a shitbag, and you have no clue where you live or who you are, and everybody seems to know who you are, and you're kind of faking it. What's really cool though is like eventually like you have like these moments of like you're thinking about something, and then it kind of triggers like a skill roll depending on like what you're doing. So you're having a dialogue with yourself. You're having a lot of dialogue with yourself.
Inner monologue, yeah.
Yeah, inner monologue and or monologue with like aspects of yourself. There's
Your id, your super id.
That game goes places, and it's actually kind of interesting just because of that stuff. Like, and so they have like another screen where it's like they have another screen. What was that noise? They have another screen where it's kind of like a quest log, but it's like a thought log. There's like, hey, I don't know where I live, and then there was another one. Do I smoke?
All right.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It's quirky like that. Probably the rounding out of top three would be Blackout Club. Even though I didn't get to play it too much, and I didn't play it in the ideal because I only played single player. It looked really cool, and I like what those guys at Question, Jordan Thomas, them. I know them a little bit. So whatever bias or something like that, but I do like what they try to do, and stuff like that, and it's actually heebie-jeebie scary for a little bit. So, yeah. Did you already talk about Blackout?
A little bit. I was gonna let you focus on it because it's your. You were the one who
Blackout Club, like it's got like that 4-person Dead by Daylight, Left 4 Dead kind of thing.
But it's interesting to hear you talk about it being able to be played single player because from my perspective, it definitely seems like a.
There's an opening of single player, so it kind of gives like some of the backstory of the story, but it's meant to be played 4 players. I don't think like you're really supposed to run that through single player.
Okay.
I think even Jordan was saying that you're not really supposed to play this single player, but it's like extremely hard to. But I like the aesthetic, and I like how it looks. And
the premise is cool.
Yeah, the premise is cool, and it gave me legit creepy vibes.
Oh yeah,
and not jump scare vibes, but like the general creepy thing.
Yeah, like knowing that there's something that's stalking you as kids that you can only see when you close your eyes, and when you do that the first time, and it's just this red like screen that's all like out of focus. And you just see a yellow thing run across the screen. You're like, I don't want to know what that is.
Yeah, yeah, and like other random games I played, I like that Bloody Roots. I think that's what it's called. Did we decide that it's called that? I forgot.
You're probably right.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Hotline Miami kind of thing where one hit you're dead, and you're kind of like using environmental weapons to kill people.
Now, is this overhead still, or was
it's like overhead 3/4 view,
okay,
like very polygonal, like simple polygons kind of stuff, but kind of like outdoorsy, Wild West kind of view, like in the forest. So you're using like axes and like wagons and stuff. Like you can get a wooden barrel and then like run on it and run over people. I think I also played that Stone Story RPG.
Yeah, I talked about that one.
Yeah, that was weird. That should be a mobile game, a touch game. I like how it looks because it reminds me of games when I played when I was 6. So that's my bias.
I can't remember the name of the RPG that I played like when I was in high school that was all ASCII based as well. But you were a smiley face and it would move around the map. It was I can't remember what it was called, like Apocalypse RPG or something like that.
Yeah, I mean I don't know if that makes it a good game, but I at least it gives me nostalgia stuff. That dev guy was kind of creepy though. I mean, he was very nice. It's just he looked at me and there was he was like, "Did you like it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really liked it." And then he like stared at me for a while. Oh, that's good. And I was like, "Okay."
He gave you the creepy Mr. Rogers vibe.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he seemed alright. He seemed like an artiste. That's what he seemed
To be
like.
fair, it was also
I bet you
day
he-
4 of PAX, so he's probably
Oh yeah,
also
he's probably like way like
because
bombed
while
out of
I
his
was
mind.
playing, there was a couple people who came up that he knew, and like he was like, "Oh hey," and then he got up and hugged him. So I was like, "Okay, this guy can show
Yeah.
emotion."
Well, my impression of him is that he buys jazz albums on vinyl and listens to them on an authentic like record player, and then he sips like French press coffee while reading an actual newspaper.
Or a novel.
Yeah, and he only plays like fucking who are those guys who made Pillars of Fraternity? Whoever those guys are.
Obsidian
called.
games?
Obsidian, yeah. He only plays Obsidian games or
Okay.
something. He really loves Fallout 2. Yeah. He doesn't like the 3D shooter one.
I really love Fallout 2 as well, but
But he
I
doesn't
also
really like the 3D shooters. A couple games real quick that I also played was I like that Hong Kong Massacre. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, Chris and I both put that.
Yeah, put that up there.
Yep.
Yeah, strangely enough, another very Hotline Miami-esque kind of game. I think I played like 3 or 4 stuff that reminded me of that kind of like you can die really quickly and you gotta like keep on moving really fast and use a bunch of the environment things. What was that other game that I played in the Sony booth? Dreams was weird, but cool. It was cool that there was like a lot of the variety on that thing. Was it Rewind? Retimed in the PAX 10. That was pretty cool. It was on a Switch controller and everything. It's like 4-person like samurai gun kind of stuff. But every time bullets came by you,
Time would slow.
a bubble around you that would like be slow time, and that was like pretty cool. Like I got like a couple cool kills of like diving and everything. It's a game called Witch It that was weird. There's a lot of games I saw but didn't actually play.
That happens a lot at PAX.
Happens a lot at PAX. Was disappointed no My Hero Academia.
Yeah,
Disappointed that
you didn't see that.
Disappointed that the Capcom booth didn't have any merch because I wanted to buy Monster Hunter stuff. Disappointed that the one artist booth that's always somehow there, like Udon Entertainment or something.
Oh, they were there this year?
Yeah, and they had like a Monster Hunter like foil shirt that looked really cool where you're like fighting. It was Ryu fighting Nergigante.
Oh, you told me about that one, yeah.
And I really wanted it, but it only has large, and I have a fat fucking stomach. So what? But I bought Street Fighter pins, and it was blind pick, and I got Ken,
Masters.
and I got Chun-Li and Chun-Li.
Oh, you had 2 Chun-Lis?
Yeah, it was great. I really wanted to play Untitled Goose Game, but
That line was always a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to play that because I don't know if I'd actually enjoy owning it. Kind of like Cicero Holmes said in... is it Cicero Holmes? Yeah, in Spawnomy. Yeah, I guess we could talk really briefly about the panels. Sure. I felt like I went to some like the most panels I've done in a few years. Did the impromptu post-mortem stuff. That was pretty good. I mean, it's impromptu, so sometimes it's very up and down, hit or miss kind of stuff, but the stuff that hit was pretty funny. Jeff Gerstmann is always funny.
Yes. So is Dave Lang.
Dave Lang is always funny. Abby Russell and Ben Pack. So, you know, the usual Giant Bomb guys. Mm-hmm. Also went to Spawn on Me. They had their first live thing and their first panel at PAX.
Was it a packed panel? Was it full?
Yeah, it was a PAX. Oh, no, it was like half full.
Okay. That's still pretty good for
that,
like a small podcast like that to get.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. It was actually probably my favorite one because they were really funny, and it felt very intimate. So they were like, it felt like they're really talking to the crowd. Like, you know, Giant Bomb's just huge. So like the Giant Bomb panels, like kind of them doing their thing on stage, interacting with the crowd a little bit, but it's not like we're having a conversation.
It's not what we get normally when we talk to them after their panels.
Yeah.
So
it was really fun, and it was fun to meet those guys, and they had very nice words to say to us, and they kind of even remembered me from the charity thing I did with them like a few years ago, so that was nice. Cicero kept talking about opening your third eye. Illuminati is always watching. I love that guy. Because he will always be messy, but he will always defer to Khalif, because Khalif is like you know, the more I won't say sensible one, but he's the more sensible one a little bit in a lot of ways. So like they have a good dynamic between the two of them. And then also saw Grand Pooh Bear, which I remembered halfway through the panel that he was the Games Done Quick guy with the Mario stuff.
Yep.
And then I forgot who the other guy was. Blessing something from OK Beast, which I guess we should check out because kind of seems like they do really cool stuff. And then the PAX Rumble stuff was cool, but I kind of wish they just did the Rumble stuff. But I guess you got to do different things.
The two quote unquote wrestling matches were fantastic because the game.
Yeah,
they picked a terrible game to play.
Stupid wrestling game that's on Steam and everything like that. But I mean, that stuff is always fun. In all kinds of ways. My favorite part was doing the bird calls for Khalif. Whenever he won like something in the iQuip. Yeah. Caw. And then the Giant Bomb panel was usual good stuff from Giant Bomb and everything like that.
Yeah, they were
nothing
they had a tight panel this year too. Dan thought they were like he thought they were short, but then I went no, we started at 8, Dan, not at 8:30.
Yeah, there was, it was a little more organized in the last couple of years. Because the last couple of years, it seemed like they didn't really know what they were doing, and they're just kind of really winging. But it seemed like they had kind of a bit going on. They did have a plan. And then Jan got to share some Puto with the rest of them.
Is it Puto Bang is what he called
Puto Bong Bong.
Sorry,
which is like a type of it. You get Puto bread and Puto, all this stuff. And we're talking about Filipino cuisine. I'm not saying it in Mexican Spanish and saying bad things. So it's the same word. It's spelled exactly the same thing. Because y'all didn't teach us fucking Spanish. You just taught us the Jesus, okay?
You heard the word.
Oh, yeah. Filipino would be like, that's a good word. We'll use that word.
Okay.
We'll use that word. I like that one. But yeah, it was great to see Jan represent. He said, I have to bring food for my people, and the 4 Filipinos in the audience went, woo! Now, there was probably more, but they too American. They didn't even know. They don't even know. Like, the most Filipino they get is lumpia. Like, I know those Filipinos. I saw them in the crowd. They were just like, they were confused too. Oh, that's gross. I only eat pancit.
And they also went to, they tried to pronounce it Wajamaya, and it was...
Yeah, Ujamaya or something. And I was like, what are they talking about?
I knew what they
And then,
meant.
like, for like a second, I was like, oh, Wajamaya.
Yeah.
Which made me kind of wonder, are we saying it wrong? Mm-hmm. And they just went with it too? Sure. I don't know.
I would have liked to. I should have tried to go to maybe the Lego panel that they had this morning because that seemed like it might have been fun. But other than that, yesterday, that was the panel yesterday.
I kind of wanted to go to I was thinking about that Waypoint panel because I guess Gersman was there too, so that might have been pretty good.
That was right before the Spawn on Me panel, I think.
Yeah, they would have been hard.
That's the hard part about some of these panels is that they put 2 good ones back to back, and the way the lines work at those events, it's like you're lucky if
it was kind of nice with the Spawn on Me because there was no oh man, I hope we get good seats. It was just like, yeah, we got good seats because like maybe the first 15 rows were filled, and it was like in the smaller whatever theater that's called. But overall, I mean, fun PAX. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of years of this one, so. Like, sometimes it's kind of hard to get, like, the excitement up because it's like, I kind of seen this before. Kind of went through these halls before. Kind of seen those cosplayers before.
No Bethesda booth this year.
No Bethesda's booth.
I'm not salty about that.
They got a game coming out in, like, 2 months. How do you not have a booth at PAX?
I will say, it's so... the stuff that irritates me. Fortnite irritates me because it's everywhere. And it's dumb. Because it's... God damn it.
It's a game for babies.
It's a game for babies.
Play that game.
No, I just hate that it's everywhere. If PUBG was everywhere, I'd be like, oh, damn it.
It was before Fortnite took over.
Some stuff, it was getting a little bit... but Fortnite is just like such a beast. And it's so crazy. Like, I bet you there's a lot of kids that went to PAX only to go to that Fortnite arena thing that we didn't go to. Like, it's like a whole nother convention there. I bet you there's, like, a ton. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
The first day when Chris and I pulled up to the hotel that I was staying at, there was a line of kids outside that Fortnite arena at, like 9 o'clock in the morning. So
I don't remember if there was a game like that when we were kids that like we all would have lined up for. I don't know.
Mario.
I mean, maybe, but like I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Probably maybe Mario. Maybe like if they're like, hey, we're gonna show the new Super Mario World. Yep. I think we would have all lined up. I mean, we watched the movie watched The Wizard to watch
Super Mario Bros. 3.
Although I didn't know that was gonna happen. It fucking blew my little boy mind. Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I enjoyed PAX.
But yeah, it was fun. But yeah, it's a lot of PAXs.
Today was lighter for sure. The last day, Monday. Saturday was a nightmare as usual. If you are looking for a non-crowd filled day, don't go on Saturday ever.
Yeah, Friday probably seems like the best day.
Friday was pretty good. Yeah, we got around to a lot of
Friday
stuff.
seems pretty good. Actually, today was pretty good.
Today was pretty good. Like when we first got in there, this was after they had like let the initial wave of people in and like they finally opened up the lower doors in the convention center. I walked up, met you guys there, and then I walked up to the 6th floor, and the 6th floor was almost like it was very empty. And then I was go ahead.
My quick hot takes. Other than Fortnite sucks and is annoying, and I don't like the fans because I don't like children. No, okay. So quick takes. Seriously, like if you're going to be walking, don't stop walking and don't like slow down, especially if you're in the main thoroughways. Keep on walking and like seriously, just fucking stop doing that. Conversely, enforcers gotta like calm down. Like just because we're like a little bit outside of the booth, you don't have to constantly remind me that we're like need to go in the booth. Especially when it's not a busy day like today, where there's like so much space in the middle row of in the indie mega booth. Like I don't need you up on me like telling me. And then once like we're actually inside the booth, you don't have to tell John to like move to the side or something because you got some kind of power trip. I'm sorry. If you are going to demo games at PAX and you're going to have controllers, please have a PlayStation or Xbox One controller. Don't give me this fake Logitech Xbox controller that we had when we played that stupid soccer game that looked like a VHS tape and played like a VHS tape. Jesus Christ, man. Have some self-respect.
I think the thing that
how much more is that how much more are you saving with that Logitech controller? Not much, because that
really.
Thing's got to be about $25 to $30. Spend $15 more, get a regular Xbox One controller. In fact, get a 360 controller. I bet you can find those cheap. It'd be okay. Holy crap. What the heck? Am I playing with a Logitech, a third-party console controller? Ew. Delectable.
The Black Future 88 guy, like that, the game was very pretty, but problematic for sure. Guy had one 360 controller and one Xbox One controller. So I'm under the impression that those were his controllers from home, and he only has the one Xbox One controller.
I mean, he even brought like fucking, but I don't know what that other. You know what? Really disappointing 6th floor this year. Usually when we go to 6th floor, we get to see like some really random stuff, but there was nothing that really caught my eye other than the stuff that we already knew was going to be pretty cool, like Watam and all that kind of stuff. Like, Although, I will say this year, PAX 10 was actually interesting. Usually I gloss over that whole back row for the last couple years, but I liked a bunch of the games there, and even the ones I didn't get to play. Also, fucking get out. I mean, fucking keep walking, man. Seriously, we're in the fucking nexus of Discord and AMD and Logitech, and we got Sony and Microsoft and over Mixer there. And why the fuck are you slowing Facebook down? Gaming. Why are you slowing down?
I told that to Chris.
Keep on walking.
Guy committed a cardinal sin today. He was putting stuff in his bag trying to walk. It's like, just go off to the side, take the 10, 15 seconds to put your thing away, put the backpack back on, and then rejoin traffic. That's the thing. If you have something to do, go off to the side.
And take a shower. Seriously. It's not as bad as like the worst years, but there was definitely a couple times where it got kind of funky. Especially like yesterday when I was walking around before I left like early to like go drink at the bar, Like, yeah, there was a couple spots. I was walking by myself. I was like, man, it's getting fucking funky up in here. It's warm. It's getting funky.
And people smell.
Yeah, it was also kind of warm. I started falling asleep during Disco Elysium. Like, I was like, and I was worried, like, somebody would take a picture of me, like, playing that game and be like, man, this game must be boring. No.
Put it on the box.
Contrary to the case, it seemed very interesting.
All right.
Anyway, that's my PAX experience.
Hooray, PAX 2018. We did it, gentlemen.
Go Hawks. I don't know. I didn't know what to say. I felt like I needed to say something. Oh yeah, and if you're like a waiter or something, like you should like not bother people when they're like obviously talking. Like don't fucking bother people and keep like asking if everything's going okay. Like everything's fine. Like I'm pretty sure it's fine.
These are Dan's salty PAX tips.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I tagged out to let Dan have his say.
Yeah.
We're getting it all. Like,
Although
this
shouts to that one guy at Gordon Birch.
Today?
Yeah, he was like
The waiter ninja?
Yeah, Waiter Ninja, man. That guy was, and we're not saying Waiter Ninja because he was Japanese, but also he was like pirouetting and sneaking around like he was like the hitman guy.
He scared Chris.
He was like Agent 47. He'd be like, hey, can I get that for you, bro? And he's like, where'd you come from?
Snaking in.
He was great. That guy was good. That was all right.
Good tip.
And don't eat a cafe yum. What the heck, man? Why are you making it look like we're getting Asian bowls of stuff, and then you got like kind of like we're like a Chinatown tea house
How about we put it
kind of
this way?
thing, and then it's just like fucking like I got like avocado and corn and rice and salsa in my bowl. What kind of fucking mayo shit is this?
I'm about to add a note to our podcast. Apparently now this is a podcast because we're at almost an hour.
Yeah.
But at about 47 minutes, you can go ahead and just shut the thing off if you're not wanting to hear just Dan rant
Rant and rave
on
about
food and service in the Seattle downtown area around the PAX Convention Center.
How about we put it this way? Dan convinced us to go to Cafe Yum because he said bento boxes. And Chris and I both got the quote-unquote bento box that was just a chicken teriyaki dinner.
And we didn't even get to have the Filipino chicken truck.
Nope.
Or the Monster Hunter truck.
Oh man, Monster Hunter, why you hurt me so much? This whole convention
How are you
hurt
going
me.
to team up like that?
You hurt me so much. No merch, nothing on the floor. The only thing I could find that was Monster Hunter was a shirt and some pins from a third party people, and they only had large. And like the lunch truck that was a Monster Hunter lunch truck had like one food item a day. Like it was like it was like Friday, this is the meal, and then Saturday, this is the meal, right? And then you have like a 1,000,000-mile long fucking line. But it's like, oh, the meal on Sunday was like grilled chicken or something. Something that wasn't Monster Hunter. Like I want the fish platter, the veggie platter, challenger platter, unpredictable platter.
And he wants it cooked by cats.
Chef's choice.
Yeah, it
You know,
should
in
be-
a stove oven.
even if they just had cat ears, that would be great. But like, come on, man. I need to get my defense up.
And there was a huge line for it.
Well, yeah, because the truck looked badass.
People like Monster Hunter, man.
It wasn't even World that they were promoting.
That's true. It was Monster Hunter Ultimate for the Switch,
Yeah.
which is a 3DS port from like 5 years ago.
Because the world doesn't make any more sense.
And on that note,
And
we should stop.
goodbye. Thanks for having us.
Always a pleasure.
Welcome to our podcast.